My Place, Nadia Wheatley and Donna Rawlins. My Place, Nadia Wheatley and Donna Rawlins. 1988. My name is Laura and this is my place. I turned 10 last week. Our house is the one with the flag in the window. Tony says it shows that we are on Aboriginal land, but I think it means the colour of the earth back home. Mum and Dad live here too, and Terry and Lorraine and Auntie Bev and Tony and Diane and their baby Dean. He's my nephew and he's so cute. We come from Burke, but Dad thought there would be more jobs in the city. This is me with Gully. I have to keep her on a lead because she chases cars. She comes from Burke too. I guess she thinks they're sheep. This is a map of my place. We've got a McDonald's right on the corner. In the McDonald's yard there is this big tree, and whenever I sit in it, it always makes me feel good. There's a canal down the bottom of the street, and Mum says it must have been a creek once. It's too dirty to swim in, but Tony made me a tin canoe, and now some of the other kids are making them too. If you tip over and go in, the water tastes yucky, and your parents go wild. For my birthday, Mum said we could have tea at McDonald's, and we sat in the outside bit under the tree, and it felt just like home. 1978. This is my place. I'm Mike. I'm nearly 7. I live with Mum and Dad and Yaya and Auntie Sophia. Yaya's my grandmother, but I call her that because she's Greek. I don't speak very much Greek, but I kind of always understand what she is saying. We have Easter lunch in the backyard under the grapevine. There's roast lamb and salad and of course chocolate eggs too. And we have a competition about cracking them. I'm the best at it. This is Whiskers. He sneaks in and sleeps on my bed. This is a map of my place. When you're up the top of the big tree and a jet goes over, you feel as if you're going to fall out. Mum wants to move because of all the noise and stuff. Auntie Sophia and I often go down the canal. She says that if you went down in it and into the river, then into the bay, you'd be on your way overseas. (1968). My name's Sophia and this is my place. I'm 10. Bubba's just painted our house blue. He comes from Greece and he says lots of houses on his island were this colour. I think it is really pretty. I live with Mama and Bubba and Marula and Paul McCartney. I've got a big brother called Michaelis, but he's a soldier in Vietnam. Mama lights candles to pray that he comes home soon and isn't hurt. This is me and Paul McCartney. Marula reckons John Lennon's best, but I like Paul. Before Michaelis went away, we had a goodbye party and we invited his girlfriend. She looked a bit left out because of all of us were speaking Greek mostly. Michaelis looked weird because of his new haircut. He didn't want to go, but he said the law said he had to. I wish that war would stop. This is a map of my place. Marula works at the milk bar. I put messages in bottles and send them down the canal. And sometimes when I want to think about things, I go up the big tree in the statue yard. There are more people in the street now because of the flats, but they don't seem to have many kids. 1958. This is my place. My name's Michaelis, but at school I say Mick. I'm 11. I was born on Kaliminos, but my parents moved here because there wasn't enough work on our island. Bubba used to be a sponge diver, but now he drives a taxi. Mama sews shirts at home so she doesn't learn to speak English much. I've already got a sister called Marula, and now I've got a new one called Sophia. You think at least one of them could have been a boy. After Sophia got christened we had a party. Bubba and I had to make a fence so that no one would tread on the new grapevine. Sometimes I think there are more Greek people around here than there are on Kaliminos. This is a map of my place. Pop and Mrs. Malcolm next door have got a television, and sometimes they let me go in and watch it. Up near the depot there's a big tree, and I play Tarzan. That and Zorro are my favourite shows. Sometimes at the end of the day our family goes for a walk beside the canal, like we used to do around the harbour back on Kaliminos. It's pretty dirty, and there aren't even cafes or anything, but Mama says if you shut your eyes you can pretend it is the Aegean. This is me and my silkworms. They don't have names. I feed them on mulberry leaves. Their silk is soft and golden. 1948. My name's Jen and this is my place. I am 8.5. I live with Mum and Grandpa and Auntie Bridey. And now there's my new dad. My real dad's dead. He went to the war before I was born, so I never even saw him. But Mum says I've got his hair. When she married my new dad, we had a party. Uncle Paddy and Uncle Cole came, and Miss Miller from next door, and the Malcolms from the other side. Miss Miller's going to be 90 next year. My dad's got a new car. It is green. This is a map of my place. Mum says when she was a kid there used to be heaps of shops. They're knocking the haunted house down, but Miss Miller yelled at them and made them promise not to cut down the big tree. She told them I have a swing in it. At the bottom of the street there's a canal. The council's built a fence, but it always seems to have holes in it. Sometimes I fish down there, but I never catch anything. This is me and Soxy. Dad says we might move out to the western suburbs soon and get a house with a big yard all round it, but I think Soxy would hate it. He likes how it smells here. 1938. This is my place. I'm Cole. I'm almost 11. In my house now there's Pa and Declan and Bridey and Kath and Jack. My ma got pneumonia when I was little, and Paddy's up country somewhere looking for work. Miss Miller next door is kind of like family too. When Kath and Jack got married, she gave them her piano. The night the Thompsons got evicted, it was like a party in the street. The bailiffs had stuck all of their things on the footpath and boarded up the house, so Mrs. Thompson knocked down the fence and built a big fire. Everyone brought a pot of stew or some spuds or something, and when we finished eating, Pa got out his fiddle. It didn't seem awful then, but the next day they went away to the unemployment camp, and we never ever saw them any more. This is a map of my place. Pa and Declan got put on relief work to turn the creek into a canal, but it is finished and they're back on the dole again. When my mate Tomo lived here, we nicked some wood from the old house and built a fort in the big tree. And we used to swim in the canal when our parents weren't around, but now there's no one to muck about with. This is me and Bessie. She's laid her eggs in my billy cart, and I can't use it for my paper run. I hope they hurry up and hatch. 1928. My name's Bridey and this is my place. I'm 7. I was born in Dublin, but Pa and Mama left because there wasn't much work there. Now Pa reckons jobs are getting hard to find here too. The rest of my family is Paddy and Declan and Kathleen and now Colin. Mama says he was a surprise. Pa and Paddy and Declan all work at the brickyards. Dec had to put up his age because he's only 13. I don't have a pet, but Kath and I look after Col in the afternoon because Mama cleans the flats. We put him in the pram and bounce him along the creek track till he goes to sleep. I wish the creek was clean enough to swim in. This is a map of my place. Last year they put in poles, so now our lights are electric. It is really exciting living here because the aerodrome's nearby and sometimes aeroplanes fly over. I climb up the big tree and wave to the pilots. Mama says we're lucky here because we've got good neighbours. Miss Miller lets Kath and me play her piano, and if we catch Henry's bus he won't let us play. The Thompsons on the other side have got a wireless. Lorna Thompson's my best friend. We had a party on St Patrick's Day. He's the saint of Ireland, and we all wear green for him and sing and dance. Pa got a bit sad because he was missing home, so Mama invited the next doors in to cheer him up. 1918. This is my place. Mum calls me Birdie, but Eddie and all the blokes at the hospital call me Champ. I'm 9. My brother Eddie's only got one leg, but he's still great at cricket. He and the blokes sometimes let me play with them down by the creek. I live with Mum and Eddie and my sister Ev, and we let the front room to Miss Walkley from the church. Dad died at Gallipoli. Miss Walkley says that's something to be proud of, but I reckon it stinks. He was a great spin bowler. This is me and Gert. We got her to help with the war effort. This is a map of my place. Mum works in the kitchen at the hospital, and when Ev comes home from the factory she puts on her VAD dress and goes over there too. Mum says we might have to move to the country because we can't afford to live here now, but I don't want to. On the day the war ended, people danced in the street and blokes hugged each other on the lawn. But Mum started crying. Then Miss Miller cried, Then Mr. Miller even cried because Tom and Fred won't be coming home either. So I did some stilt walking on Eddie's crutches and made them stop. 1908. My name is Evelyn and this is my place. I'm 10. We moved here because it's close to the city for Father to get to the bank. Mother teaches music at the college, but of course Eddie and I go to ordinary school. On the way home we always wait near the pump on Mueller's Corner in case a motor car stops. Father says the main road will be tar soon and there'll be even more traffic. Of course Eddie pesters Father about when we will get a motor car, but you'd have to be as rich as anything for that. This is me and old Ned. He used to pull the horse butt, but Mr. Mueller put him out to pasture when the trams went electric. He says poor Ned just couldn't keep up. Last cracker night all our street had a bonfire down near the creek. We got crackers from the Chinese shop. Mr. Mueller said it reminded him of old times. This is a map of my place. On the weekends I play caves under the big tree. Mr. Mueller says when he was a boy, a dragon lived across the creek. When I was little, I used to believe him. (1898). This is my place. My name's Rowley. I'm 8. My mum and me, we rent the upstairs front room. Auntie Adie's got the middle room and Miss Singer's got the back. Mum works at the laundry with Auntie Adie. She's not really my auntie, but I call her that. Downstairs there's Mr. Henry. He does photographs, but on the weekends he has an ice cream cart and he lets me and Tommy Mueller help him. Tom lives next door. His auntie's got a bicycle. This is a map of my place. The big tree belongs to the posh school, but I climb it anyway. A bit down the creek it turns into a canal and there are barges. Before my dad went away he helped build it. My mum says he couldn't find any more work and one day he might come back. Once a month Mr. Merry has a party. It's called the Australian Labor Party and it's just grown up sitting in his room talking. Miss Mueller goes, but Mum and Auntie Adie don't. Mr. Merry gives Tom and me a shilling to nick up the pub and bring them back some beer. He lets us keep the change. This is me and Ned Kelly. He's the front horse on Mr. Mueller's bus. Mr. Mueller reckons you've got to be an outlaw to beat the new trams. I'd like to be a tram driver when I grow up, but most people around here make bricks, so maybe I will too. Mr. Merry reckons every brick in every house tells a story. 1888. My name's Victoria and this is my place. I'm nearly 11. My father is a builder and he built our house, and Father and Mother and Wesley and Charles and May and I are the first people ever to live here. Father built the next door house too for the Muellers, and now he's started 2 more houses on the other side. Our house is the biggest. We've got 3 bedrooms upstairs and downstairs there's a parlour and a dining room, then the breezeway, then the kitchen. We've even got tap water. Mother says it's like a dream come true, but sometimes Father looks worried. This is a map of my place. Mother reckons you get sick if you even look at the creek, but Father says it'll get better when they finish the sewerage. Sometimes I play in the big tree, but the Owen girls don't talk to me, as if I'd care. The hotel's changed its name because of the centenary. Mother won't even let me walk on that side of the road. We're all in the Temperance League. This year, Australia had its 100th birthday. We went to the centennial picnic with the Muellers in their horse bus. Miss Mueller works in town at the telephone exchange and she catches the train to work. Mother says ladies don't have jobs, but I want to be something when I grow up. This is me with Squawker. Sometimes he gives you a fright. Once he made the Dunny Can man drop everything. 1878. This is my place. My name's Heinrich, but everyone except my grandparents calls me Henry. I'm 10. When my mother died, Mina stopped being a teacher and she looks after Father, Anna and me. I used to have a little brother too, but he got the gastro. My grandparents and Uncle Wolf live on top of the new shop. My grandfather says one day I will own it, but I want to be a balloonist. I didn't tell him that. This is me and Gretchen. She's Mina's cat, but she's mine too. This is a map of my place. I climb the big tree and pretend I'm on a balloon. The creek's so dirty Mina won't let me play in it. She says it is like an open sewer, and that is why my brother Siggy died. One night I woke up and there was all this banging and yelling. I crept out into the street and it was coming from Mr. Wong's garden. So I went across the stepping stones and there was a dragon. 1868. My name's Mina, and this is my place. I'm 9 now. We used to live in Hamburg, but I like it better here. Mutti says it's too hot and dusty and there is no culture, and if I don't practice the piano I will turn into a heathen savage like Wong Gar Lek. I'd quite like to be a savage. Next door to our house, Vati's built a workshop. He makes saddles and harnesses and stuff like that, and my big brothers Carl and Wolf help him. Carl's wife Eva lives with us too. She's going to have a baby soon. I hope it's a girl. This is a map of my place. I hide in the big tree sometimes when Mutti starts yelling about piano practice. Vati says the creek's a scandal. It's so stinky and sludgy. At Christmas time we have a proper German party with a fir tree and candles. Then we sing around the piano. It still seems funny without any snow, but the food tastes just as good. This is me with my kitten Gretchen. Lek gave her to me. Some of the other kids chase after Lek and pull his pigtail, but he's my friend. (1858). This is my place. My name's Benjamin Franklin, and I am 12 years old. I was born in San Francisco, but Mother says Dad got gold fever. First we went to the California goldfields, but he didn't find anything, so we moved to Australia and he tried his luck out Bathurst way. And when that was no good, we moved here. Now Dad works for Mr. Moffat, but I don't think he likes it. Last Thanksgiving, Mother cooked a turkey like she used to do back home. Sometimes I wish I wasn't American because other kids laugh at how I speak. But Dad says one day everyone in the world will be free and equal and like brothers and sisters. When I think about how Beth and Amy fight, I don't reckon it'll be much different. This is Tripod. I share her with Lek. We found her one day down the back of the Joss house. The other kids tease Lecky too, so we stick together. This is a map of my place. The creek's too dirty to swim in, but Lek and I make boats and race them down it. Sometimes we hide up in the big tree and throw things down at the kids who call us things. 1848. My name is Jonna and this is my place. Soon I'll be 10. I live here with Granny Sarah because my ma died when she was having me. This is a map of my place. Sometimes I creep into the Owens garden and climb the big tree. If Mr. Owen catches me, he gives me a weird look, but he just stomps away. Granny Sarah says I'm never to go there. Last time Uncle Sam came home, we had a party. He's a sailor, and you'll never guess what he brought me. Auntie Mary Ann got a half-day holiday. She's Mrs. Owen's upstairs maid. Uncle Davey lived there, but he's gone out to Bathurst Way to be a shepherd for Mr. Charles. And Granny Sarah says that one day we might move there too. She reckons too many people live here now and she's fed up to the teeth with the dust of the main road and all the traffic. This is me in Mischief. Isn't he beautiful? 1838. This is my place. I'm Davey and I'm 7. Just Ma and me live here now because Alice and Mary Ann live up at the new house and are maids. Sam's my brother, but he's on a ship catching whales. He's 14. Before Sam went away, Mr. Owen was shot by bushrangers, so Mr. John became the master. Ma says he's even worse. Mr. John sold most of the farm and there are 3 more big houses now between here and the river. This is a map of my place. When the wind blows the wrong way, it stinks from Mr. John's tannery. Ma says we're really lucky we're up the good end of the creek, but she won't eat the oysters anymore. There's a swing in the big tree for Mr. John's kids, and I'm not allowed to play on it, so I climb up and drop figs on them, and they run away. Once Mr. John caught me and whipped me, but it was worth it. They're snobs. When I was little, my dad fell off the roof of the new house and died. Ma says she hates the Owens and all their works. I don't really remember them, but one night last summer Ma took me to the creek and lit a big campfire. We stayed up all night and she told me how Dad had discovered the swimming hole. This is me and Duchess. She belongs to Mr. John, but the groom lets me brush her. Next year I am starting work as a stable boy. 1828. My name's Alice and this is my place. I'm 9 1/4. Another girl called Alice lived here once, but she died, and Ma gave me her name. The Owens used to live here, but they're staying in Sydney town until their new house is built. Mr. John often comes back to check on things, Ma and Dad live here too, of course, and Mary Ann and little Sam. Dad's in charge of the farm and the convicts. They're making a quarry to get stone for the new house. I take them their lunch. This is me and Wilhelmina. She loves it when I scratch her back. This is a map of my place. The new house is going to be near the big tree. I got Dad to promise they won't cut it down. I love it. The creek's pretty clean here, but Dad reckons there were lots more fish around in the olden days. The night the Owens went, we all had a party. Dad used to be a convict too, so he doesn't treat the men like slaves, like Mr. Owen and Mr. John do. Ma roasted a whole sheep, and old Freddie danced on the table. 1818. This is my place. My name's Charles and I'm 8½. I live here with my mother and my brother John and my sister Meg and sometimes my father. I had another sister called Alice, but she died. Sam and Sarah are our servants. Sam is in charge of things because Father's mostly in Sydney. John says Father is making money. He's got a new woolen mill across the swamp. John says he's going to make money too when he grows up, but I want to be a farmer. This is me and Daisy. Sarah taught me to milk her. Sarah's nice. She lets me turn the handle on the butter churn and drink the buttermilk. When Sam and Sarah got married, we had a party. Mother lent Sarah her second best shawl and Father gave them a guinea and 3 days holiday. John got drunk on rum. This is a map of my place. The long hut up the back is for the convicts. Mother says I'm not allowed to talk to them, but I do. The big tree is great to climb. When I'm up the top I pretend I've crossed the Blue Mountains and I'm choosing some land for my very own farm. The other good thing is the creek. I build dams, but John breaks them up. (1808). My name's Sarah and this is my place. I'm 9. I was born in Sydney, but my mother came from England on a convict ship. Last year she died, so Mrs. Owen took me as a servant. She doesn't beat me much, but you should see all the work I have to do. Mr. Owen lives here too, of course, and Alice and baby John. Mr. Owen's mainly in Sydney, doing business. Mrs. Owen runs the farm and she has 5 convict servants and Sam to help her. Sam used to be a convict, but now he's a ticket of leave man. He's more like my family than anyone else in the world. This is me and Pokey. I call her that because she pokes her head into my lean-to at night. I steal crusts for her and she's learning to eat from my hand. She's my secret. One day, some soldiers came to see Mr. Owen. They ate and drank a lot and talked about kicking out Governor Bligh. I hate it when adults get drunk and talk politics, so I nicked some jam, Rowley and some oranges, and Alice and I went up to the big tree and had our own party. This is a map of my place. I look after the vegetables and they taste great. The wheat and stuff all goes to Sydney. Sam swims in the deep hole in the creek, but I'm not allowed to. 1798. This is my place. My name's Sam and I was born in London. I'm 11. The judge put me in jail because I stole a jacket. I was cold. In jail they beat me. Then they put me on a ship and sent me here. Then they let me out to work for Mr. Owen. Sometimes he whips me too. But at least it's not cold and I can catch heaps of fish to eat. Last Christmas Mr. Owen gave me a holiday. Mrs. Owen is still in England and she sent out a pudding. Mr. Owen drank lots of rum and let me eat as much as I liked. I've never had a pudding or a holiday before. This is me and Kate. I milk her every morning and at night I put her in the pen in case the blacks get her. This is a map of my place. We're clearing the bush back to make a farm. It gives me blisters. Mr. Owen has 90 acres but he wants to buy more. I think he's got too much already. Sometimes he goes off to Sydney Cove to get supplies and he doesn't come back for a week. I get scared at night then, but in the daytime I nick down the creek. I've found a great swimming hole. At the top of the hill there's a big tree. I climb up and pretend I can see all the way to Shoreditch. That's where my mother is, and my sisters and my brother. I wish I had someone to play with. 1788. My name's Barangaroo. I belong to this place. We're staying here for the summer at the creek camp to get fish down at the bay, but often we stay a while at other places. Everywhere we go is home. I live with my parents and my brother Biruwan, and my grandparents and my aunties and my uncles and cousins. We take our tools and our hunting and fishing stuff with us when we move, but of course we leave the huts and canoes here for the next time. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to stop in the same place always. But my grandmother says no one does that. I guess it would be boring. This is a map of my place. We camp here because the creek water's so fresh and good, and we're close to the river and the bay. In the creek there's a good swimming hole where my cousins and I always play. My father says he swam here in exactly the same place when he was a boy, and my grandfather says he did too. At the top of the hill there's a big fir tree. This is our dog. He sleeps with me. Last week a whale got washed up on the bay, so we invited some other people from roundabout and had a big barbecue. As well as meat we had piles of vegetables and oysters and pippies and crabs and octopus, and I've forgotten what else. I ate so much I thought I'd explode. Then I fell asleep till the nighttime party. Sometimes at the end of the day I climb to the top of the big tree and play that I'm the only person in the world. If I look one way, the sea runs out till it meets the sky. But the other way, the land goes on till the sun sets. My grandmother says, we've always belonged to this place. But how long, I ask, and how far? My grandmother says, forever and ever.